I remember saying to Simon, our manager, that like this is probably a long shot, but like contact our agency and see if he will be interested. And then I left it at that. And then apparently there was interest back. He apparently said to our manager one of his demands were that he wanted to be in a team environment where he can freely, the fact that he wanted a very specific demand regarding in-game stuff that was like just right on the spot of what I generally try to pursue was just felt like a match made in heaven.
But so 2025 ends. Overall, the way I look at it is, hey, we came in with a 2-year project. Year one, pretty much no one expected us to even make it to top 3. We did. It sucks because we definitely could have made Worlds, but overall, if I look at it from the outside perspective, I think we overperformed like community expectation. And it's like very exciting going into 2026. And especially since Worlds is in North America, and we did make a change in the mid lane. We did talk about like Palafox and whatnot, but can you shed some light? Because I think he was let go very early on. Like the thank you video came out maybe like before Worlds even started, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so for various reasons, I think the change in and of itself was necessary. So that's how that the release started. And then our search for not only just mid, but like whatever position that could be a better fit and whatnot, like started. And the reported names were like Quid, Busio, et cetera, et cetera. And to be honest, with Zinie, I actually knew the name way in advance because this guy's been like a highly advertised name in the up and coming talent of Korea for like the past couple of years now. And he's also in this agency that basically only deals with like really high individuals. So I remember saying like, there's a very, because in my process of looking for specifically mid lane talent, I just looked through all of like LCK, LPL, LEC, LCS, whatever may have you, and just like narrowed down not only who I would want, but also whose contracts was ending. And I noticed that his contract was ending. So I remember saying to Simon, our manager, that like this is probably a long shot, but like contact our agency and see if he will be interested. And then I left it at that. And then apparently there was interest back, and then that's how the conversation started. And then I honestly, even still up until that point, after watching his games, in my very first experience of watching it, it was kind of not impressive in the very beginning. But then I only watched it from his POV, like why did he make this decision, and I tried to understand it from like his perspective and realized that the reason why he wasn't as impressive was just a more of a he was like a victim of circumstance, I think. But the thing that impressed me the most was that when we were at first I realized that, let me just go double check, he was playing champs like Vel'Koz and TF not as much, but like I think it's very rare for and also Zoe. And these champs, specifically Koreans in their Korean system, I think with or without Fearless, just don't really touch on specific champs. But the fact that he was willing to pick it and played it well and was already kind of impressive to me. And then once we reached out and was starting to begin talking, he apparently said to our manager one of his demands were that he wanted to be in a team environment where he can freely explore champion picks. And I'm like, oh, I have made my match in heaven.
I love it.
That, yeah, like I always like exploring champion picks. For me, it's just like it's an undiscovered aspect about League of Legends in general. But it's just like it was so rare that in my experience, and I've worked with like maybe 20 plus Koreans over my career. Not only do they not have demands in general, the extent of their demands is like, get me a good roster and get me a good salary, and that's all they care about. But the fact that he wanted a very specific demand regarding in-game stuff that was like just right on the spot of what I generally try to pursue was just felt like a match made in heaven. And then I like honed in on that fact during our interview and was like sold him on the idea that like rather than go to like, no offense to them, like bro or DNF and just be like a mediocre mid for a bottom tiered LCK team and just suffer, like come to NA. Well, I think we were third before, and with you, we'll probably make Worlds. And then by the end of your contract, if you want to go back to LCK, because all like Korean up and comers want to play in the LCK because obviously that's their dream, you can go back if you want. But I think this will be an actual, really objective, good career path for you. And I would imagine that sell worked, and that's how we got him, I would say.
So is it a 1 year or 2 year contract?
Not sure on that, but I'm pretty sure it's a 2 year.
Okay.
That's a more of a management thing.
So the champions like Zoe and Vel'Koz and TF, the in 2024, when you built this roster, you wanted a playmaker in the mid lane, right? You said you watched Faker at Worlds and you realized that, you know, a playmaking mid laner is very important. That's why you were looking for Jojo. That's why you're looking for Niski, and that's why you ended up with Palafox. Zinie doesn't sound to me like that type of player. So, are you like adapting the roster because he's like a really good player, or is he actually like a really good playmaker? But you know, like you said, victim circumstances. Like, what's going on with specifically that mid lane position?
I mean, he's actually. Well, I didn't watch his games from 2024, but in 2025, at least, he didn't really seem like a playmaker per se, but it's not like a necessity. It's not like if you don't know how to play make, I'm not going to get you. But I think because of his like wide champion pool, and also his pursuit for it, that probably means that he has like a desire to have like multiple aspects regarding the game. And I think like playmaking, like, oh, you play Annie or I don't know, Lissandra or whatever champ may have you, and their main theme is playmaking. I'm pretty confident that he can just develop that aspect pretty easily if his job is indeed that. So yeah, no worries there. I just thought he was a very solid fundamentals and mechanics, very open-minded, which is pretty rare for up and coming Korean, and yeah, just seemed like a really good fit.
I don't know how much you got a chance to like speak with him, but do you know like if he speaks any English at all?
I spoke to him once, and he self-proclaimed that he has little to no Korean, but then again, I generally think Koreans, not Koreans, the English level required to play League of Legends is not that high. And also I watched like Berserker, for instance, that couldn't speak like a word of English in the beginning, and then throughout time they'll just learn. So that's not really a big worry of mine. So yeah, as soon as we sign him, we're going to put him on like the English lessons, and to be honest, if he just comes here and lives and plays around this English environment, he'll improve out of necessity.
Out of necessity. All right. So last year when we talked, this was a 2 year project. You wanted to make Worlds in 2026. We're going into 2026. Is the goal the same? Have you upped the goal? Like not just Worlds? Are we looking at MSI firsthand? What expectations should we have for this roster?
I remember saying to our management that I gave them like different variations of players or player that we should get, that if we get X player, our immediate expectation should be at least top 3, top 4, if not championship contender. And I think with Zinie, that is the case. So yeah, I think we should, our immediate, like, no practice, whatever, going into the year should be like bare minimum top 3, top 4. And then if we actually do practice well and improve throughout the year, we should be top 1, top 2.
All right, awesome. I actually wanted to talk specifically about like other change in the roster. Like we heard a bunch of names. I think Inspired was another name that we looked at getting. What I guess you sign a player for a 2-year contract, and then in the hypothetical world that we do get like 3 new players, aren't you sort of destroying the core of what you built for a whole year?
What's your impression on, like, for instance, our inquiry? In your head, do you think we like look to contract Inspired, or what's the impression on that?
I mean I only know what Sheep says, and they say, hey, they were, I think we were specifically mentioned bidding for Quid, but then for Inspired and Busio, I think we just like contacted them. I don't know how much you guys like really tried to get them, or you're just trying to see what's going on. But in my head, it's like, hey, we had a 2-year project, and if we really are just like looking to make changes in jungle mid and support, all of a sudden, is that just not a new project at this point?
So Quid, yes. Busio, yes. Inspired, no, for various reasons. I just, like, there's also just straight up information that I just can't say out publicly. But yeah, Inspired wasn't like a real inquiry per se. And yeah, it's just that. And I also, like, even in the process of the off season, because we were just doing our due diligence, that I told Juan, okay, you're probably going to, because esports news travels fast and rumors travel fast, that you're probably going to hear like, oh, Shopify's inquiring about Inspired. And I just told him, like, we're just doing our due diligence. It's most likely not going to happen, but just like, don't get startled or whatever. So yeah.
All right, that was actually going to be my next question. It's like, even if we get to keep the players like contracts and Seus, does that not leave us like a sore taste in your mouth? Or like, yeah, I think I did pretty well compared to expectations. And like, this was a 2-year contract, a 2-year project, and now all of a sudden I'm on the chopping block. But I mean, you seem to think
I feel for them as an individual, because to an extent I am also viewed in that lens as well, because I'm also like, even though I'm not the one actually playing, like, coaches are also measured by their in and outside of game performance. But at the end of the day, like, they're veterans, they're professionals. So even though it emotionally sucks that, like, oh, I think I did well and my team's like maybe looking for replacements or whatnot, like, you just kind of have to suck it up, I guess. Like, personally feel for them, but that aspect is just like, it's just the world. It's like,
all right, the last thing I want to talk about is the coaching staff. So right now, I think you and Demonte are continuing to next year. Are you guys looking to make any like additional changes, additions, or I know like even though you guys are the main coaching staff, you do have like an analyst and like a sports psychologist that come in. Is that something you guys are looking to add to?
so for last year we had obviously me and Demonte, and then we also have Landon, which is, for this purpose, he's our sports psychologist. And then we also had Soaz and Selfie as remote positional coaches. Selfie is now fully committed to doing his college work, so he's gone now. And for Soaz and whoever else, like, we're still kind of undecided on that. We first wanted to prioritize locking in the player roster first and then think about coaches. So yeah, there may or may not be an additional coach as of yet. That's actually going to be one of the talking points in our upcoming meeting soon.
All right, I didn't know if like Soaz and Selfie were public. I knew the players knew about that, but I didn't want to mention them by name. But okay,
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to 2026 Shopify. Looking forward to cheering y'all at World.
I hope so too, because I really thought, like halfway through the year, that this was going to be the year because I made Worlds in 2019 and 2022. So, oh, maybe it's a 3 year thing. And then it was 2025. So I thought this was the time, but then I missed that. So, yeah,
Well,
I really
hopefully
want
this one's
to,
extra sweet because it's NA.
yeah, I hope so.
All right, thank you so much for the interview, and yeah, good luck.
All right. Thank you.
I think that's just insane, man. Imagine going and being like having so many teams contact you, and one of your requirements, I want to be able to pick my picks in 2026. Like, I don't know. To me, that just sounds insane. Not insane, but it's like crazy that he believes so much. Where we're taught like the Korean school of League of Legends, you play whatever Jovi's playing, you play whatever Faker's playing, you play whatever Zeka's playing. You don't deviate. Any deviation is like it's always the appeal to authority. And he's like, no, I kind of want to play my picks. So I'm excited for Zinie. I really want to see like freaking Zach mid again. Shopify 2024 had that flair where you knew Insanity was going to pull a freaking Jin or Lucian. I mean, Zinie plays Lucian mid. He plays Yasuo. He plays Yone. He plays all these champions. His favorite champion apparently is Azir for some reason, or maybe not his favorite. His most comfortable champion is Azir. But I'm looking forward, dude. I want to see Vel'Koz. I haven't seen Vel'Koz since Froggen on Golden Guardians back in 2019. Was it? When he was pulling out Vel'Koz. So I'm excited for this. But again, just thank you to Reven for being so open. If you haven't watched part one, like we go over 2025, and I asked him about Palafox. I asked him about like what happened losing to a Brazilian team, and he did not mince his words. He was like, "Yeah, this happened. Like we went 0-20 in scrims, and like I could have done this better." And yeah, he kind of just he's very open, which I very much appreciate. Watch part one if you haven't. If you're just here because hey, we're getting new fans because people are excited for Zinni. Yeah, be excited. I think there's good reason to be excited. I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna reach out and try to get a Zinni interview before LCS starts. I'm still kind of thinking whether I should or not, but I also did talk to Demonte on LCS Report, which is not this channel, but we talked about Shopify in 2025. So if you're interested in 2025 Shopify, that content is out there with both their coaches, their head coach and assistant coach. And yeah, I'm just as a Shopify fan, man, I'm excited for 2026. And yeah, let's get B-Boy to Worlds because he hasn't been there yet.